I'm excited for you guys to be here. I think the legal boot camp, my goal here is to not bore you to death. I hate boring presentations. I like interactive, so this is gonna be super interactive. So hopefully you guys are engaged enough to actually interact. But really give them a hard time at the breakout sessions, because they'll be giving you a hard time. So I'm just saying. And to start it off interactively, before I even introduce myself, I wanna show of hands. I wanna see where you guys are. How many of you guys document a crap ton in your current job? Who documents all the time, all the time? Pretty much everybody, right? All right, if you love the fact that you spend 80%, based on many studies, of your time documenting, raise your hand. Who loves that you spend 80% of your time documenting and not taking care of patients or doing? Nobody? Yeah, me neither. I hate it. And they've tried to make it more efficient, but it just took us away from the patient even more, right? Now, let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you're super excited about the day when it comes, if it does, let's pray it doesn't, that you get called to court, that you get deposed, that you get a subpoena in the mail. Who's excited about that day where you have to defend your care and your documentation on a stand? Yeah, me neither. And that's why we're here at Legal Boot Camp. So what I'm hoping to give you guys today is a little different insight into how to prepare yourself if you do get deposed, if you do get subpoenaed, and a little bit of how to stay out of it in the first place. But this isn't going to be a documentation talk. This is going to be your legal boot camp. So let's kick it off by having my best part of what's on the stage here. Alex Woods is going to introduce herself. We're going to be tag teaming this thing, and she can tell you a little bit about who she is and where she came from. So Alex.
Yeah. We can hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. You guys, just like he said, my name is Alex Woods. I am a registered nurse and a legal nurse consultant. So first of all, do I have any Roll Tide people in here?
Oh boy, she's already starting with a Roll Tide. Anybody Roll Tide?
All right, anybody go Bucks? No?
As in Milwaukee Bucks, yes.
Oh.
No. Ohio State Buckeyes. All right. Go Doc. Oh. Anyways, you guys, I am from Ohio. I went to the University of Alabama for college where I got my BSN, and then I came back to Columbus, Ohio, where I landed a spot in the critical care fellowship. And then after that, I landed a job in the trauma surgical ICU where I was there about 7 years. And then I did some local traveling nursing, especially during COVID. I know I have some travel nurses up in here. Who
Definitely.
Are travel nurses?
Who has or who has before is currently a travel nurse?
Yeah.
So
I became a legal nurse consultant in 2022 where I founded my company, US Legal Nurse Consultants.
All right.
I need everybody.
Oh, yes, this.
Everybody look at the screen. All right. You guys are the most generous people to us ICU nurses. You guys, listen, you guys hand us patients all lit up. And I need to say this, okay? Randy was an ED nurse, I'm an ICU nurse. The patient did not just have a bowel movement.
They totally did, because we just gave them the med before they got in the elevator.
Yeah.
So
all right.
That really happened. And they might have come to you looking like that, but they were alive, right? And thank goodness they came to us first, because you'd be too worried about making sure all the lines were in order. Yeah. So anyway, let me tell you who I am. I'm sorry I brought an ICU nurse to the party, guys. This is a little about me. My name is Randy Lovelace. I've been a nurse since 1999, or as the kids say, the late 1900s, which doesn't make me feel old because I'm not. Who else has been a nurse since the 90s or earlier? Thank you. Yeah, and the rest of you guys just think it was the late 1900s. Yes, we had cars back then. I got my bachelor's in nursing, a bachelor's in management, a master's in business. I've been bedside into ED. That's where I cut my teeth in a little level 2 trauma center in South Carolina. I went up the ranks of healthcare leadership. I traveled for like 10 years. And then finally I was like, yeah, kind of need to figure out some more things in my life. I had nothing saved. It was just make money to live. So I went into management, kind of settled in, was a manager, director, executive director, COO, and a national healthcare consultant. Then I left all of that to start Loveless Legal Nurse Consulting. So I left my career at the top of it to start a business with no clients and no income. I don't know if it was brave or stupid, but it worked out really well for me. I became very successful as a legal nurse consultant, and I started teaching other people how to do it, and that's where Catalyst Coaching and Mentoring was born. So now my passion, I still have my legal nurse consulting firm, but my real passion is helping nurses to realize they can be so much more, which I'll talk about my book here in a minute too. That's the title of my book, Not Just a Nurse, because that's really my passion, to help nurses realize their true value. So I've been featured in multiple articles, podcasts, some of them are up there, and then my book, Not Just a Nurse. There's a copy of it at the back, and if you are interested in getting it, there's a little barcode you can scan and take it to Amazon. You can buy that book. And if you want to come by the booth in the exhibit hall, experience hall, whatever we're calling it, then we're giving away some books there too, and I'm happy to sign it for you. So that's a little bit about me, but I'm not really the important one here. I hate to say the ICU nurse is, but she has an amazing story of tenacity that I want her to share with you guys, because tenacity is the theme, right, of this year's ENA, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot. But Alex, would you share with them what your story of tenacity and all you've come through to get to where you are?
Yeah. You guys, this is my first time telling this story out loud. So if my voice is shaky, it's because I'm a little nervous. And you guys are the first people that I get to talk to. So thank you for being patient, and thank you for understanding that this is my first time doing this. I was 11 years old when my brother died. He was 15 years old. My brother's name is Greg, and his friend Jonas got on a boat one cold April afternoon with the plans of meeting their friends on the other side of the lake. But they never made it. So for 12 days, rescue teams searched. And we had hoped that they got on one of the islands on our lake, and eventually we got the call that nobody wants to hear. Watching my parents go through this pain is something that I don't wish on my worst enemy, especially my dad. He is a military man, doesn't show vulnerability emotions, and I didn't realize it then, but as I got older, I realized how much resilience and how much strength that he had to keep going. He had to keep going because he had to. He had a family to take care of. And when I was asked to speak in front of you guys, I wasn't even sure where to start my story. And when I started writing down, how to go and where to start the middle end of this tenacity story, I think my true story started with my dad's resilience. And my dad is one of the best people that I know, and he has taught me through it all that there is no giving up. You have too many people depending on you, whether it's your family or friends, and that was one of the hardest times of my life, if not the hardest. Okay, that was my first time saying that, so thank you all for understanding that. So fast forward, I went to the University of Alabama. Please, somebody give me a Roll Tide in here. Roll Tide! Thank you.
Not really.
Came back to Ohio, like I said. I landed a job in the landed a spot in the critical care fellowship, where I was rotating through the ICUs. I did one rotation in the ED. I'll admit that I actually loved the trauma bay. I thought I was gonna be an ED nurse until I got stuck in a psych ward for 4 hours. And I was like, this isn't for me, I'm not gonna make it out alive.
That's a special kind of person that can, stay there.
Any psych nurses in here, by the way?
Psych ED. Y'all see psych all the time.
You guys
right?
what do you mean? We're like, psych, yeah. That was a dumb question.
Spoken like a true ICU nurse. Every fourth patient.
Yeah, 2 patients, you guys understand that. So, like I said, I landed a job in the surgical trauma ICU unit. That was my home unit. And then I did some travel nursing during that, COVID, travel nursing. 2020 and 22, anybody remember why those years were memorable?
I think
COVID?
a couple of you might, yeah.
Yeah, COVID. And for me, I think a lot of you maybe, newborn babies too. And so after, a few months after my second son was born, I was like, I'm gonna find a job, a work from home transfer center job. It's terrible, it's terrible. So then I quit that one and got another one. That was terrible. So I felt so torn at that time. I had 2 babies. I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to be fulfilled. I wanted to do fulfilling work, but I felt so torn. And does anybody have that similar tension? Anybody have that questioning and deep inside their soul, like, is there more for me? Because I did. And motherhood changed me. Motherhood healed parts of me that I didn't know were broken. And around that same time, I had some of the hardest years of my adult life. I had sacrificed so much of myself, my passions, my dreams, my sense of worth, and it still was unseen. And I decided I had to walk away from that part of my life. I had to face old wounds. I had to unlearn the criticism that I was told over years. And I realized that pride and ego only carried me so far in life. I built walls up from an early age. I thought vulnerability was a weakness. I thought humble humility was bogus. And it wasn't until I felt like I hit rock bottom that I had to ask for help. And I had to surround myself with people that would elevate me. I had met Randy through the Catalyst program a little bit before that, and for some reason, he took me under his wing and mentored me. And I had mentors like Randy, who believed in me, Rod Doxey, my Christian coach Dee. I had put myself in front of so many books, so many podcasts. Any podcast listeners in here? A lot. Yeah. And I realized like I had to still do the work. I had to learn that healing is not just about moving forward, for the sake of grit. I had to realize that moving forward is healing wounds, that asking for help and surrounding yourself with people was the best medicine for me. And I had to realize that for me, I had to realize I had to keep getting back up, like after life throws you so many tough situations. And I know you guys in here know that I know that there are people in this stage, and I hope that my story resonates with you. Do not bury this stuff. It's been 20 years since my brother died, and my dad and I still can't say his name very much. And it's because we didn't heal the right way early on. And it's not that we don't want to say his name, it's because we can't still. It's so hard. And so I want to stand in front of you guys as the mom of 2 beautiful boys and the founder of my own company, successful own company. And I don't say that as a list of accomplishments. I say that as a testimony to this, that pride and ego will only get you so far. Resilience, and I've said this many of times, resilience is not a fixed trait. You are not born with resilience. Nobody in this room is. Nobody in the world is born with resilience. It is forged through fire. It is forged through hard times, difficult situations, painful situations where you question that in mornings, I don't know if I can get up today. But you keep showing up, not for the sake of grit, but because you want to move forward, you want to better yourself. All of you in here, you guys chose to be here. You guys chose to elevate one another, and I am so honored to had been asked to speak with Randy and talk about my story for the first time. I'm so honored to be in this room of extraordinary emergency department nurses. And you guys think fast, you guys act fast. You guys didn't have just 2 ICU patients like this princess ICU nurse did. You guys are amazing. And I'm gonna end with this before we move on to our last slide. You are not defined by the criticisms that were placed upon you. So I want to encourage everybody in this room, I don't care what failures you've been through, what mistakes you've been through, what criticisms that were placed upon you, you are not defined by any of those. So thank you for letting me share my story. That felt good. ED nurses, you guys already live tenacity every single day. The organized chaos, the hard decisions, the quick assessment. It takes guts, it takes grit, and most importantly, it takes grace. I forgot my line here, Randy. Moved on too far. You guys, the same tenacity that it takes you from difficult families is the same tenacity that moves you guys through hard lessons, hard decisions, and painful life experiences. So kudos to you guys for all being here.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you for sharing that story that you haven't told anyone. I don't know if you guys know how special that is, because she's never said that publicly, and you guys are the first to hear her story. I think that's pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And she is absolutely right that we as ED nurses, we may have a different story. We may not have the same story, but I guarantee you, I'm not looking at a face right now that I wouldn't put money on has some trauma. Probably in your personal life, I guarantee it's happened at work. You see crap nobody should see, and you see it pretty much every shift, over and over. And I love what Alex said about the forged in fire. We're required every shift to basically do what no man should ever have to do, or woman. We're required to excel just to survive a lot of times. And on just a regular shift, we're dealing with these priorities that are always competing, and what do I do first? Which is the highest priority? Constantly dealing with patients and new regulations and short staffing and these unreasonable demands that are put on us. You know, cut staff, get better quality, and do it faster, right? Like, well, you gotta give something, right? But the truth is, what she was saying about the struggle and the fire is where tenacity is forged. It's not that I think go put yourself in it and let's not do anything about it. I told you my passion is to help you understand you can do more. But that truly is, regardless of whether it's ED nursing, nursing in general, business ownership, it's in the hard times that we find our true tenacity. Nobody looks back on the good years of their life and go, man, I grew so much when there was nothing wrong, right? We grow when things suck. We grow the most when things are the hardest, and you usually don't see it until after, but that's where tenacity is forged. And then, here's the question to get us back to the legal side. This is legal boot camp after all, even though we could talk to you guys about how amazing you are all day. What if on top of everything else you're dealing with, you get subpoenaed? What do you do then? So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what do I do if I get subpoenaed, to give you a broad spectrum idea of how to handle that, okay? Is that okay with y'all? Has anybody ever wondered that? What if I get subpoenaed? Yeah, a few, yeah. All right, so here's the first thing not to do. Don't ignore it. I know y'all are ED nurses. Y'all are like, it fell under the seat. I didn't see it. I put it up on my visor and forgot it was there because I didn't want to remember it. Don't ignore it. Ignoring it is detrimental. It can do things that you don't want. It can have penalties, fines, even jail time, contempt of court. It could be really bad to ignore it. So don't ignore it. Respond promptly. But I skipped that one intentionally because when my wife, where's my beautiful wife? There she is in the back. So I'm an ED nurse through and through. I'm squirrel on crack. I'm high level. I'm like 15 things at a time. I can see what's supposed to happen 4 years from now. And she's like, she was ICU, tele, management. She's in the weeds. She's separating out the lines, you know. And she goes, don't tell them to respond promptly. What if they just take it and go respond? Like they think that means to, and I'm like, no, they won't believe that. That's what I'm telling them. And I'll put more in here to make sure they don't. So first, verify the validity of it. Is it even a valid subpoena? Is there a court order? Has the judge signed it? If it's a real subpoena, those things are going to be there. And then don't act on your own. You'll see I put that in here a few times for a certain somebody. Inform your employer, your manager, your supervisor. Even if you don't like them, you got to let them know. That's one of the first places you should go. Get risk management involved, and for goodness sakes, please get your legal department involved. Anybody here not have a legal department? Okay, you all probably have a legal department. They need to be involved if you get a subpoena. It's super important because you've got, some people, I've realized that some nurses don't even know this, but you have legal counsel already through your hospital that they pay for that can support you in this, and they're on your side. Even if you're like, my hospital is completely corporate, they don't care about the little guy, they still care about themselves. So they're on your side because you're on their side. This is an example of what a subpoena might look like. I know you can't see it very well. It's just an example from a certain county. Yours might look different, but I wanted to throw something up there. And then, oh, look at that. Don't attempt to handle it alone. I wonder why I put that up there twice. So work with your legal counsel, risk management to move it forward. Review the subpoena. What exactly is being asked for? This is important. And this goes beyond subpoena too. If you're ever deposed, if you're ever in any sort of legal battle, and an attorney will ask you a question that will try to get you telling them a story like Alex was just telling us, don't do it. You answer what question was asked. Do you recall 1942 on October 2nd? Yes. That's the answer. Yes, I recall it. Right? I'm not saying, yeah, that was when I had 14 patients and there was 100 in the lobby and I was doing this and this guy was having a heart attack, right? Right? Yes, I recall it. Right? Answer whatever the subpoena asked, no more, no less. Be sure to adhere to HIPAA. The last thing you want to do is make this worse by now divulging patient information or some sort of private information that you shouldn't have, that they may not have had, even if they had it, and you shouldn't have divulged it, now you're in hotter water, right? So be sure, again, while you're working with legal counsel and risk management on this. And then, dun, 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 prepare for deposition and trial. Who knows what deposition is? Anybody know what deposition is? Half of you. Deposition is basically, you know, we all see the courtroom drama as you're sitting on the stand and getting grilled by the attorney. Deposition is basically like you're in an office room. You're at a table. They got a camera set up. You might have seen it on, like, if you watch Suits. I think that's one of the greatest shows ever. But that and Vikings. But anyway, I digress. So you're at the table. It's kind of like being in court, but there's no judge, there's no jury, there's no courtroom. But it's just as holds just as much gravity because it's all being recorded, and whatever you're saying is definitely going to be used against you in a court of law. So if you're ever deposed, you got to treat that like court, and your counsel will prepare you for that before you're deposed. And then possible trial. That can happen too. You may actually be put on a stand. So we have to be ready for those things if they do happen. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit here, and we're going to dive into a real case. I guess I need to be looking over here too. I didn't realize we had all these people over here. We're going to dive into a real case. This is not made up. It's an actual case that we as legal nurses have had. We've changed some of the details, some of the names, ages, things like that, but they're pretty tight, pretty close to still give us a really good idea, but we have to protect HIPAA as well. But we're going to walk through a real case that we got. We're going to tell you some of the details of what happened, and then you guys are going to break out into breakout sessions, and I'll tell you what's going to happen there in just a minute. So let me introduce this case to you, and what I want y'all to do, when I tell you what this case is, quickly raise your hand if all your red flags go up and you're like, holy crap, I'm worried about that guy. This is one of the worst ED patients I've ever seen. Okay? I'll be looking. 35-year-old guy slammed his hand in a car door. Who's excited? We might have chosen the wrong case.
Yeah.
Nobody's excited.
Probably not a good one.
I'm not excited either. Okay, whatever, like dime a dozen. He slammed his hand in the car door, not a big deal. So Alex says, it's a big deal. Let's find out if we believe her or not. Alex, tell us a little more about what happened in the case.
Okay, in your guys' packet, you guys have the facts, but you guys, we're gonna go through it on these screens too. But I want you to pay attention, like Randy said, I want you to pay attention. If you have a pen, maybe write some things down that you're like, oh, that's a red flag, something's not adding up here. What we have laid out in these facts, this timeline of this case, was what was in the records, okay? We didn't omit anything. We had built this story from what the records had told us. All right, let's get started. 0-100, patient presents to the ED with left thumb and wrist pain. He states that he accidentally slammed his hand in the door of his car. Vitals were pretty normal, nothing too concerning. 145, the physician noted significant swelling, decreased range of motion. The differential diagnoses here included fracture, dislocation, septic arthritis, compartment syndrome. Labs and imaging were ordered.
Okay.
Okay. 345, x-ray, normal.
Alex, I'm not impressed. This is all sounding pretty normal to me. I mean, I'd expect everything I'm seeing here. I'm not jumping up and down. It's 1 in the morning when they come in. It's now 3:45. I mean, cool. What do we, I mean, I'm at like, great. This is all coming together. What do we do next?
Be patient here, Randy. Let's
Okay,
keep going.
I'll try. I'm an ED nurse.
All right. 5:35, they attempted to discharge the patient with an ortho referral. However, he was writhing in pain. So ortho consulted for possible compartment syndrome.
Okay, can I stop you?
Go ahead.
Sounds like we did everything right.
So far.
This guy's been
So
here
far, so
4
good.
hours. Who's happy? He crushed his hand in the car door. He's got a negative x-ray. We're trying to discharge him, treat him and street him. I don't see any reason for him to be keeping a bed in my ED right now. We did an ortho consult because now he's saying his pain's worse.
Okay.
Still not. Anybody impressed so far? Are y'all like, this is a big concern to me? Couple people? Tell me what you're concerned about.
Why, what labs and why?
What labs and why? I agree. What labs and why? You're going to get to some of that though, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Hold on. I know everybody's going to have a lot
You're
of questions.
concerned? Pain, we don't have a pain score. Yeah, and there may be, so in fairness, and I hope that this kind of conversation continues, so I don't want to discourage it at all, but in fairness, we're going to, I mean, this was multiple thousands of pages of records on this case. And so we didn't leave anything out, but there may or may not have, I don't even remember if there were pain scores documented, but I agree with you, I'd want to see that too. As far as the case itself, is anyone going, we definitely need to be doing something different with this dude?
Well, I mean, the hand x-ray is negative, but the swelling and pain is so severe that it's out of proportion to our normal x-ray, then you should be concerned for something.
Bingo.
Okay, all right.
Everybody hear what she said there? Bingo.
We probably need to go ahead and get a microphone if we can. So as we're,
Remember, we only have 2 labs.
oh, do I just need to go up to them and like give them a hug and they can talk into mine? Is that okay? All right.
As we go through this, you guys are going to have a lot of questions. Bear with us. Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, what did she say? Can you say it again louder? Oh. Okay. Can you say what you said a
Can
little
you
louder?
say what you said?
I just said that, you know, if you have a patient with that mechanism of injury with a negative x-ray of the hand, yet the pain and swelling continues to get worse out of proportion to what the original injury was, you really do need to be concerned for a more significant differential diagnosis.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what about medication? No, like assessment.
Nobody said.
Baseline. And is this the true mechanism of injury?
Ooh, I like it. Yep.
It's a good thought.
Good thought. All right, Alex, tell us what else happens. What happens after this?
All right, guys, we're at 6 in the morning, okay? 6 o'clock. Increased swelling, distal to the wrist. Pallor was present. Pain meds were given. Ortho was now at bedside.
Okay.
At 6:36, 7:10, we all know this is shift change. Labs resulted. I want everybody to look at those labs. Take a minute. Okay.
Inflammation, some trauma.
Some
Lactic cell.
questionable
Yeah.
borderline abnormal labs. Right.
Lactate, yeah.
That's right. So for a crush injury, a little odd, right, everybody?
Yeah.
So they said, all right, let's admit this patient for 23-hour observation in the ED for possible developing compartment syndrome. Okay, this is the diagnosis they have placed at this time.
And so this was, just to be clear, this was a 23-hour admission in the ED.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
We all love those.
8:13. Vital signs were obtained. I don't put them here. I just want to tell you guys they were normal. Okay.
All right.
12 o'clock. She was placed in a splint. Okay, she was placed in a splint like this. And the swelling and pain increased dramatically after. He also, I'm sorry if I'm saying she, I meant he. He also had increased pain med requirements. So at 13:30 now, the orders were placed. Vital signs, no frequency. IV and oral pain meds, it's like oxycodone. CBC, I want you guys to pay attention to this, okay? Here's the labs that were ordered. CBC with platelet and differential, BMP, type and screen, ECG, NPO, chest x-ray.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, 1442, type and screen was collected.
Okay.
All right?
I mean, there's
Ready,
some
flip
people
to
in
the
here
back?
that are looking into the cracks and seeing
Yeah.
some things that could be happening, but on a busy shift, I don't know. I'm still not jumping up and down, but
Okay,
all right. Somewhere
So-
this is going to get worse, I assume. Let's see.
1000, 11:15, 16:30. The ortho notes, you know, remember they were admitted under the ortho team, okay? The ortho team assesses those 3 times. Examination is not concerning for compartment syndrome. However, keep the extremity elevated, monitor pain, continue compartment checks. He had limited active range of motion. Pain was well controlled. That's what they said.
Cool.
We're at 1922. Everybody, this is shift change. New nurse comes on. Fingers were cooled to the touch. Increased swelling. Surgery was paged. Vitals were taken. You guys can see what the vitals were. Not good. Patient is on 3 liters of oxygen, hypotensive, tachycardic.
I think you must have left out something, because when was the last time we got vital signs on this person?
Who remembers?
That was a lot. I don't know what they're saying.
I heard there
all here.
long time. Yeah. You guys, we didn't omit anything. That's what the record said, and that's actually what was in the audit trail. Okay? So, in fact, it had been 12 hours.
12 hours since we got vital signs. The last time we got them, they were normal, within normal limits.
Yes, they were.
And now they're not.
12 hours later. All right, 2031, ED physician and ortho doc at bedside. The patient was thrashing in pain, 10 out of 10 pain. Left arm had fluid-filled blisters, increasing in size. So they ordered a fluid bolus, went ahead and gave it, okay? 2054 to 2130. Here's the vitals. Labs were ordered.
What the heck?
Labs were resulted at 2248.
Wait. You said labs were ordered before. We had labs ordered before, like it was CBC and BMP.
Who remembers? Yeah.
They only collected a type and screen.
That's
So
right.
they didn't even get the other labs?
No.
Okay.
All right, here we go, guys. So labs resulted at 2248. White blood cell count 4, hemoglobin 7. 2233 to 2320. Okay, Clinda, Vank were ordered at 2230. Now we're running all the labs, blood cultures, additional labs. The labs that they ordered and resulted, look at the labs, everybody.
Good Lord.
Anybody call lactic acidosis here? Yeah, not good. Okay.
Now we're in trouble.
2323. Cefepime, Vank were given. Okay. We're at 2323 after shift change where he was showing clear signs that something was wrong. This was not compartment syndrome. The ortho notes even said, not concern for developing compartment syndrome. Who thinks they should have went back to the drawing board? Okay, midnight. So now we're 23 hours in, 24 hours in. They did a stat CT, significant edema, the physical exam, you guys, left arm edema with blisters consistent with, you're gonna have to help me, Randy, toxic epidermal necrolysis. 10, also known as.
Wow.
All right, 150, stat surgery with vascular surgery, SICU team for a left arm fasciotomy.
This dude came in because he slammed his hand in the car door. He's going to surgery. For a fasciotomy.
Who all has questions in here?
Yeah, don't ask him right now. Because I don't want to have to deal with this case personally. I'm tapping, so now it's your time. You get to deal with it. So this is where we're gonna give it over to you to deal with this case. You're gonna play detective. You're gonna break into your session groups. I'm gonna give you some instructions right now, and then in each one of your session groups, they're gonna give you instructions as well. Afterward, we'll come back together. We'll probably have to come back together because the room's filled. So just come back to the seat you're in afterward, and we'll go over what happened with the rest of this case. And this is where we really want you to either think about it like you were there, like you were one of the nurses there, you're actually in this case, or you can think about it like you're a legal nurse, and how would you address this if this was a case that you were working on. So here's what we're gonna do with the boot camp. You're gonna see there's rounds tables. There's 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. This is gonna be station 1 over here. You can see Sarah with the red hair right there. Sarah, one of our beautiful team members, is right there. She's gonna be station 1. Don't move yet.
Yeah, don't get
Hang
up
out
yet.
Hang out, don't move yet. I'll tell you when to move. And then station 2 is right here with Miss Andrea. God bless you if you start with her. You'll see why here in a second, what station 2 is. Station 3 is right over here with Miss Amanda. You can see her waving. And then station 4 is right back here, again with my beautiful wife Jennifer. She'll be leading that one. And here are what the stations are gonna be. Back here with Miss Sarah, she's gonna be doing a paragraph rewrite, where you're gonna be looking at something that was written in the documentation and talking about the problems with it. Station 2, Miss Andrea, you're gonna be cross-examination. Cross-examination is where the opposing counsel is grilling you with hard questions. Station, and she has a gavel. I'm hoping, and she's an ED nurse, so I hope there's no blood after this. Over here with Amanda is going to be deposition questions. She's the one that gets to pitch you more softball questions from your own attorney who's trying to support you and learn about the case. And then back there with my beautiful wife is going to be the untold story. And that one is super important because you guys were already picking up on what wasn't in the documentation tells a huge story. And that goes right back to what we were talking about, how important documentation is. So when you came in, everybody got a number, right? 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you can take that number. If you're number 1, head back there with Miss Sarah that's waving her hand. Number 2, go over with Miss Andrea in the blue blazer. If you're 3, head over to Miss Amanda. And if you're 4, go back to Jennifer in the back corner.
We're right up.
And guys, as you are moving, if you can hear me, you're gonna stay right there. You will not move to another station. You'll stay right there and the instructors will move. So whatever seat you find, go ahead and stay right there. We'll move the instructor so you guys don't have to move again. Oh, well, be careful. Hey, I just about fell onto the stage, so.
Yeah, you did.
You're gonna have 15 minutes in each station. So go ahead and get your handouts and then find a seat, and your group session instructor will give you instructions on what to do. If there's not enough chairs, we are overbooked in here. Some people may have to stand or sit on the floor. We could, do we wanna?
I don't know because you're going to move them back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to move them back, yeah. They are hooked together, yeah. Oh, hey. Yeah, they'll just have to move them back when they come.
That's the problem.
So if you're standing, grab a chair, and when you come back to the middle, bring your chair back.
Bring a chair back.
Okay, so we'll wait just a second before they start.
Yeah.
Because they're getting instructions.
We'll give you another minute or so to get into your groups, and then we'll start. There's going to be 15 minutes in each group. All right. So let's go over what happened at the end of this. Before I do that, I do want to ask you guys, which one was your favorite station?
They were all good.
Who thought that the paragraph rewrite was the most enthralling, the most engaging? Anybody? Love it. You're like, all of them were great.
Yeah.
Who got hit by Andrea? Anybody get hit with the gavel? Nobody got hit. Okay, that's good. But she's scary, right? I heard her opening. Her opening statement's like, I am not here to be your friend. I am not on your side. I'm here to rip you apart. I'm like, good Lord, okay. All right, got the right one for that. All right, so quick debrief. Alex, why don't you kind of kick us off on the debrief?
All right, you guys. So the last fact that you know, patient was taking a surgery for a left arm fasciotomy. He was taking a surgery where a virulent organism was suspected. His left arm was amputated 24 hours later.
Yeah.
All right. Blood cultures confirmed that it was group A strep that mimicked necrotizing fasciitis. Of course, septic shock, we all know, requires vasopress. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. You can keep going if you want.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, she was saying septic shock, vasopressors. He ended up getting 3 vasopressors, developing limb ischemia. I see a bunch of faces like, what? Yeah, what happened at the end of this? Multiple extremities were amputated over the course of the next few months because he had irreversible ischemic damages. 35-year-old dude that slammed his hand in a car door. Somebody's been through the station and she goes, but did he slam his hand? What's the real story? Hang on. We're going to get to questions. Let's run through this real quick. But this was the outcome of this case. Crazy that he had multiple extremities. This is a 35-year-old guy. And obviously, even if there's some story that's incorrect, what else would we be looking at? Was there a police report? Or are there people who could corroborate the story? Whatever. We still dropped a lot of heckin' balls here in the ED. We dropped a lot of balls. And what were some of the issues that we found as we were going through this, Alex?
So you guys have been through all 4 stations. The obvious one was failure to obtain vital signs. Can we all agree on that one? Yeah. Okay. Failure to recognize signs and symptoms of early sepsis. Delayed diagnostic workup in abnormal labs. What labs were not obtained? Yeah, CBC,
Lactate.
the first time, right, CBC and the BMP. Had the nurse had gotten labs, more than likely than not, it would have shown abnormal findings, right? That would have warranted earlier imaging, right? Had more vital signs been taken, more likely than not, abnormal vital signs would have been shown, right?
And the question you guys may have is, would that have changed the outcome? You'll never know, right? That's why we have 2 sides in a legal case. They're going to argue both sides. I think it'd be tough to argue that the outcome wouldn't be somewhat different, at least, had we done our job and our due diligence to get vital signs, get lab work, recognize the signs of decompensation.
Failure to initiate fluids, antibiotics promptly. You guys, it wasn't until like 11 o'clock that he had received antibiotics, and he was deteriorating around shift change 7. Okay? No escalation of care despite clinical deterioration. All right, more issues identified. I want to hit these home because the delayed recognition of sepsis and the inadequate response to abnormal vital signs in labs. You guys, sepsis, like we all know how important identifying sepsis is. I worked in the trauma surgical ICU. I know, and you guys know, like when those patients come through the door, usually there are order sets, right? Somewhere, just like she had said, they should have went back to the drawing board at some point. If the ortho notes, right? The ortho notes had said compartment syndrome was not concerning. Okay, so let's go back to the drawing board. He's writhing in pain. He's got blisters in his arms. That was later in the shift, but swelling, right? So it's like, and then the abnormal lines, labs, lactate of 2.8. right? That was
Yeah,
a weird
right. Big
one.
red flag.
And there were a couple other ones that were like, that's weird. Why would he have that for a crush injury? All right. Breakdown in communication and escalation, and ultimately suffered preventable harm due to failure to act.
And I'll say this right up front too, guys. I mean, we're nurses, right? So we're talking to nurses. We're talking about our responsibility. Was the nurse the only one responsible for all this mess? No, right? And there's this, I know that I'm going off script a little bit, but there's this thing in nursing where it's, my license is on the line and I'll lose my license. The truth is that you're a part of a system, right? And it's not just, it's very rarely a redundant vault. And even redundant vault, the whole system failed, right? It wasn't just her that messed up. There were a lot of things that should have happened. So it's not typically going after you, which is why I say get your legal counsel involved, because they are on your side. But we're a part of that system. And, you know, should the tech have gotten vital signs? Why the heck didn't lab draw? I thought they drew, right? But who does that ultimately come back to? Who's the only person that's with this patient 24 hours a day who took an oath to be the advocate for the patient, right? So we play a huge role in the failures that Alex just went over. So what we find is that most nurses don't really understand and appreciate. You might understand it logically, but when you're in the middle of a busy shift, it's easy to forget the gravity that we hold, and not just patient care, but in a legal case with our documentation and how important what we're doing and how we're documenting it. Because y'all know how long it normally takes? How long does it normally, what's the average time that a med mal case is gonna come to court? Anybody know? It's a few years. 3 years ago, on this date, do you remember what patient you took care of? And how long it was before you got a vital sign? Not a clue. All you got to go on is your documentation. And the best way to CYA, we all know what that means, is to have a repeatable process, a system that you can accurately and completely document. Now that doesn't mean, well, I've got Epic. Epic's great. But I swear the more they seem to make these things good, the more it seems to make things bad. And honestly, what we see a lot, this last one, the radio buttons, the tab enter, tab enter, tab enter, the pull forward, the copy paste, those are death blows because you get mindless with it. Your assessment is just you can do it in 30 seconds, but you miss that one thing, or you forget to do something, or you document lungs clear, you never listen to the lungs and come to find out they're not, right? There were crackles in the bases and then that escalates later. So be really, really careful with what you document. Okay, before I do summary and closing, because we're here, we've got a little bit of time. And I wanted to leave a little bit of time because I wanted to have open Q&A for you guys. So what I'm gonna do, if I can get Renee and Roger to take these microphones, we'll just use this guy, and you can ask any questions you want. So just raise your hand if you have a question that you'd like to be answered. And if you want one of the station leaders to come up and answer, I'll just step off the stage too.
In this situation, was there any systems issues identified? Meaning, like it's not directly related to human failure. Were there any system issues or any other contributing factors that contributed to somebody not being able to do what they should have done?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a really good question because in these cases, thank you for asking that, because in these cases, right, the ratio, like I was handling 6 patients at that day, you know? When we evaluate these cases, not just legal nurses, but attorneys, it is important to consider system-wide failures. You guys, like a lot of these attorneys, they are not here to like attack like the good nurses that we are, honestly. One of my attorneys said, and I'll never forget this, he was plaintiff, it was a sad case, not this one. And he said, listen, I'm not attacking the nurses. He said, I'm not saying that there was a bad apple, I'm just saying that there weren't enough apples. And that's true, right? So there are system-wide failures. In this case, no, we don't identify any. Thank you.
That being said, I will say, I mean, you guys have already seen, maybe not system-wide, but we talked about lab, we talked about, maybe the ancillary staffed. We talked about ortho. What the heck, ortho's documenting like everything's great, you know. It wasn't just a single piece, and you guys have heard the Swiss cheese, right? Things line up. You'd be surprised how often they do. And when your hospital is, you know, having 500 people come in every day, there's a lot of opportunities for the Swiss cheese to line up.
So 2 questions real quick. Number one is, what ended up happening to the nurse to doc on this one? Because we all want to know about them. And then if something bad happens, and then the organization puts in preventative measures to support better care moving forward, does that get sort of wrapped up into the court case? So for example, you know, the hospital saw this thing happening right away, they initiated a sepsis program, and then we ended up with much less sepsis issues after that. Does that get considered in the court case? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, good question. Do you know, I don't think we know what happened ultimately to the nurse or whatever in this case, right?
No, we don't. It's super confidential, so I can't speak to like what happened. And you would think though, after a situation like that, the policies and procedures like dramatically should have changed. Like there should never be a case that happens like that again. So that's a good question. I can't really answer that because of how confidential it is, but that is a good one. And it's one to be considered.
And as far as if the hospital takes immediate action and puts processes, changes systems, is that going to lessen the severity of the outcome in court? I think that's kind of what you're asking in your second part. Not typically. I mean, if it turns into a criminal case, then it's up to a jury to decide that. If it doesn't, it's up to the judge. Both are people, right? So they can be swayed one way or the other by a great attorney. But typically, the fact that it happened, like putting policies and procedures in place at this point, ain't going to give this guy's his arms and legs back, right? So the compensation, the penalty for that's probably not going to be less severe, but it could be considered by the judge. It's really just, it's one of those things that is, it's not black and white.
I have 2 questions that aren't related to this case.
Oh, there you go.
So one question is, I enroll in church nurse a lot, so I have to often take patients off board that I've never seen. So now my name is on those patients, right? Probably, I didn't do discharge vitals, I didn't assess the patient. So just writing a note saying, this nurse didn't assess this patient, does that cover me?
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
Yeah, the charge nurse thing, anytime you go beyond the person taking care of the patient, that nurse, even like you're helping out your buddy, you know, next to you, the manager comes out on the floor or whatever, that goes more to a system question than like, and I say system not meaning like the entire hospital system, but we all know that most of us don't do ED nursing in a vacuum. It's not, we're a good team. If you're on a good team, you probably have a lot of help from various other people. But ultimately, it's going to be whoever that patient was assigned to. And sometimes that can even be cloudy. That can be a long deposition process just to find out who was the primary care nurse for this person. And I've seen it before where it wasn't who was assigned primary care because they literally never saw the patient. It was a charge nurse. You were the primary care for that patient because you were the only one who ever took care of them, right? Or you took care of them 80% of the time and the person who was assigned hardly saw them. They got one vital sign, right? Then it could be argued in a court of law that you were never not that person's primary care nurse. You knew the most about them. You did their initial assessment. You ordered the labs. You drew them. You know. So in our minds, we think, well, but on the board it said that John had that patient. Nobody cares. Right? Who was taking care of that patient? Who had assumed responsibility of that patient? Who should have been there to carry on that patient? And then, you know, in a court of law too, they'll look at like, what is the hospital's policy on that? What's your normal practice? They'll interview people who weren't involved to ask, does the charge nurse come help you? Then what happens then? So a lot, and they hear this in Catalyst all the time. Everybody loves that there's so much gray in the legal world. They don't love it. We all want it to be black and white. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's gray. And the fact that there's not a clear-cut answer for a lot of the questions you might ask is why we have such a complicated and robust legal system. Because you've got 2 people on both sides doing deep dives, getting knowledge and information and then arguing in a court to then be decided who's right and who's wrong. I don't know if that really answered the question. Do you have a follow-up question for it? Or? It's great.
It's great.
It's a totally different question, a totally different note. So, while I'm a charge nurse and a clinical coordinator, so I review a lot of charts, including restraint charts. In our practice, particularly a lot of ours that are old, we would document, oh, we have 4-point restraints, and now we have 3-point, and now we have 2-point, but the order says 4-point. So if something bad happens and you have them at 2-point, that's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably so, unless you have a policy or something to back you up or can argue that good reasoning for that in a court. But yeah, if your policy and your order, if you've got a policy that says, like the doctor signed off, that when I say 4-point, then you wait, X number of hours and then you take it to 3-point and you're following that policy. But apart from that, you're just disobeying direct orders from a physician and cowboying it up and messing things up in a court. And we had a question up here. We have one here?
How was the legal battle for this case? Tell me what was the outcome of the hospital had to endure this?
Say it again. I didn't quite understand what you were asking.
How long did this case take to play out in court?
Oh.
How much did it cost the healthcare system?
Oh gosh, I don't know that we know either of those answers.
Yeah, so when we review this case, we act as we review it preliminary, right? Typically, they don't tell us like what happens in the case, and this being like a high damage case and confidential, they didn't actually follow up with us, and that is something that I actually want to know because it wasn't too long ago. And a lot of people ask that question, and I knew somebody was going to ask that question.
And how much does it cost the the healthcare system? I have no clue, but I can tell you it's expensive. And it's a lot easier to prevent these things through proper training and accountability and ensuring that you're properly staffed than it is to try to go into court and lose millions, hundreds of millions or more in compensation that you have to pay to a family whose, husband, dad, whatever, a guy who now has lost multiple limbs at 35 years old.
Awesome. Well, it's about 5 minutes after, and I know some of you need to go get dressed for some office. But you want to tell them how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
If you want to say a little bit after, but otherwise, I just want to say thank you to my friends. I knew that this would be a great experience, so let's give them a nice big round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Again, if you want to, we'll stay here at the stage if y'all have more questions. You can always, again, get my book. There's a QR code back there you can scan, get the book if you want. And you can always get in touch with us. If you want to email me, you can email me at randy@catalystcoachingandmentoring.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have there. And we'll hang out here for as long as you guys want.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It was a red flag to me that the x-ray was